Hello and welcome to Weather on the Go, all your weather coverage. Good Wednesday morning, everybody, and let's get right into it here today. An enhanced risk of severe weather here is on the day one categorical outlook from the Storm Prediction Center for much of the southeast here, across much of Georgia into east central portions here of Alabama, eastern Tennessee, and the far western part here and southwestern part here of North Carolina, and then a slight risk of severe weather across much of the rest of the southeast here from southeastern Kentucky, western Virginia, central and southwestern portions here, or just most of South Carolina, getting down into northern Florida, the rest here of central and southeastern Alabama, and the rest of Georgia. Now, looking at this here today, a 10% tornado risk here across central and southern Georgia here today, with a 5% and 2% risk here surrounding that for much of the southeast. A 30% wind risk kind of going along with that enhanced risk here of severe weather across those enhanced risk zones. And then here a hail risk as well of 15% across much of Georgia, east central Alabama, getting into eastern Tennessee and southeast Kentucky. Then as we head into tomorrow, the severe weather continues here for one more day with the storm system as we head into tomorrow across the eastern seaboard. A slight risk zone here from central Florida getting up here into eastern North Carolina, eastern Virginia with a marginal risk here across central and northern Florida, and the here eastern Carolinas getting up to here into eastern Virginia, getting up into southern Maryland here as well. A tornado risk zone tomorrow of 2% across those slight risk zones, and then here the same for that hail and wind risk here of 15% in those slight risk zones as well. Now, looking at today's threat here, you can see temperatures warming up here late this afternoon, well into the 70s across much of Georgia, especially southern Georgia, and much of Alabama, getting into here, the northwest Florida panhandle, some lower 80s even into portions of southeastern Georgia, maybe far southern portions here of South Carolina and northern Florida. And then dew points will be rising well into the 60s and 70s here. We could see some low, maybe even approaching mid 70 dew points. So a very soupy air mass in place here ahead of this very potent cold front pushing in from Mississippi and western and middle Tennessee late this afternoon. And that will kick off these thunderstorms here, some very explosive updrafts here, and kind of a broken line as we head to late this afternoon. I'll show you that in a minute. But look at this. The instability or convective available potential energy very high on the scale as we head into much of Alabama, south central Georgia, northern Florida, and getting back into Mississippi here. You can see on the order of 3,000 to perhaps locally 4,000 joules per kilogram here across these areas, and that will foster some very explosive thunderstorm development later this afternoon, especially coupled with a little bit of wind shear. The wind shear is not overly great today, but enough wind shear and enough instability here to kick off some very strong thunderstorms this afternoon. Kind of a high cape, low shear environment as we head into late this afternoon, as most of the shear will kind of be post-frontal behind the cold front as we head into tonight. The supercell composite, some pretty impressive values across south central Georgia, southeastern Alabama, northwest Florida panhandle, into northern Florida, getting up even in here to portions here of eastern Tennessee and portions of northern Alabama, with the highest values, though, favored across that 10% tornado risk zone, kind of like the Storm Prediction Center's enhanced risk zone here, with that 10% risk across southern portions of Georgia, getting back here into southeastern Alabama. And that kind of goes along with the significant tornado parameters. Some high values around the Atlanta area, getting up toward Chattanooga, and then Macon, Georgia. Kind of most of the southeast has a chance of a significant tornado today, potential like yesterday, but the zone looks to be focused here, kind of centered on the state of Georgia, especially southern and central Georgia as we head into late tonight, or late this afternoon into early tonight. Now, this is a sounding from around the Atlanta metro area as we head here into today, and it shows a tornado, possible tag of a tornado here, hodograph. Not overly impressive, but here's enough curvature. Winds will be coming in here out of the south-southeast as we head at the surface, go up a few thousand feet. Winds will be turning here at the south-southwest, and a few thousand more feet here as you get up into the middle part of the atmosphere and the upper part of the atmosphere out of the west-southwest. So a lot of rolling motion in the atmosphere again, which could foster, like I said, some significant tornadoes as we head into late this afternoon, early this evening across the Georgia area. Now I'll show you this here with the composite reflectivity. Some thunderstorms may be bubbling up around north central Georgia, as we head into late this afternoon, but the main kicker will be this cold front pushing in from Alabama, middle and eastern Tennessee, and once this arrives, thunderstorms will explode along that line late this afternoon and early this evening in a broken fashion. Each one of these could be supercellular in nature, and especially ahead of this line, got to watch here a couple of these storms that could here have the chance to produce some significant tornadoes, potentially here around EF2 or stronger, potentially here, but there wasn't a hatched risk zone. Wasn't really here hatch risk zone across really much of southern portions of South Carolina here yesterday, but that was here upgraded in later outlooks, and they had a strong tornado across the Allendale area. Preliminary rating here is unknown at this point, but it does look like appear to be some very significant damage across those areas here, so I do feel for those people over there in those areas here that are suffering from here, lost homes and stuff from that tornado. But back to today here, you can see this broken line of some thunderstorms, some supercell thunderstorms, multi-cells. You can see this will continue to push off to the east here as we head into tonight and early into the day tomorrow, and this front will kind of move offshore here as we head into the midday portion here of tomorrow. Maybe some strong storms into northern Florida, and that'll be here into that kind of slight risk zone the Storm Prediction Center has for tomorrow. Looking at the vorticity signature here on the GFS, you can see here this cold front, another front, will be pushing in here across the mid-Atlantic, and this will be the kicker for tomorrow's storms across the eastern mid-Atlantic regions on up into the northeast here in the eastern seaboard and down into Florida. A very potent front once again will kind of kick off from another upper level low here up spinning around the Great Lakes, and that will here kind of get these storms going across those areas. Temperatures tomorrow in the eastern Carolinas here, low to mid 70s. You can see some upper 60s getting up here into Virginia, maybe some low 70s across the Virginia beach areas, and getting down here maybe close to 80 towards Charleston, South Carolina here, maybe down towards Savannah, Georgia. Dew points will be rising well into the 60s, mid to upper 60 dew points, maybe a 70-degree reading dew point, potentially here down into South Carolina here around Myrtle Beach, getting down here toward Charleston, some, around the Raleigh area on east here, middle to upper 60 dew points can be expected late tomorrow afternoon. And the here convective available potential energy or instability values tomorrow will be on probably the order of 1,500 to around 2,500 across this area. And that will here be able to aid in the threat for severe weather as we head into tomorrow. A lot more wind shear in play tomorrow here, so that is interesting. Very potent here area of wind shear here coming in behind that front, behind that front, and you can see a lot of values approaching, especially across the western Carolinas, kicking closer to these storms around, 60, 70 knots. So you got to be careful with that, and that here could foster the threat of some supercell thunderstorms, along with a significant tornado threat here as well. Now, this is a sounding from North Carolina area toward the just east of Raleigh. You can see winds out of the south here at the surface, and then a few thousand feet up out of the southwest here, and then upper levels of the atmosphere, same thing, kind of out of the southwest or west-southwest, and a possible hazard tag of tornadoes on that here. Not a super impressive hodograph, but still a chance of a tornado here as we head into tomorrow across the eastern Carolinas, getting up into southern Maryland as well, and also the chance of that here into central Florida as well with that slight risk zone down there. Now, looking at the composite reflectivity, you can see some supercell thunderstorms developing once again here as we head into tomorrow afternoon. These will here kind of be more isolated to widely scattered in nature across the eastern Carolinas, getting up into Virginia, and these will kind of kick themselves off the coast here as we head into late tomorrow afternoon, early evening, and that will put an end to a very long multi-day severe weather outbreak here across the deep south and the southeast here this week as we head here into tomorrow. Looking at the next 72 hours precipitation accumulation here, you can see going through Saturday at 8 in the morning on April 9th, another additional, 1 to perhaps 3+ inches across central and southern Georgia, getting into South Carolina here, especially with those heavier thunderstorms here in today's risk. And then here A lot more rainfall up here into the northeast here. A nice soaking of rain across most of the interior northeast here into New York State, getting up down here into Pennsylvania, most of Connecticut, Rhode Island, up into the Boston area. Could see an additional 1 to 2 inches of rain or so up there, and then some backwash moisture with that spinning upper level low around the here upper Midwest and areas in Michigan, Detroit, getting up toward Kalamazoo, Lansing, getting down here into South Bend, just toward the Indianapolis area. Maybe an additional 1 inch or so of rain, maybe some localized higher amounts with some snowfall here on the backside of that here as we head into today and tomorrow. Now, looking at the day one excessive rainfall outlook from the Weather Prediction Center, they put out a slight risk zone here, or 10 to 20% chance of flash flooding here across central and southern Georgia, just on the south end here of the Atlanta metro. Also in here encompassing Savannah, Georgia, getting up into Charleston, South Carolina, getting down towards Jacksonville Beach, Florida, and getting back towards Pensacola and Tallahassee here as well, Macon, Georgia, and with a marginal risk zone around there. And then tomorrow here, day two, excessive rainfall outlook from the Weather Prediction Center, a marginal risk here of flash flooding with an isolated flash flood potential here up into the New York State, getting up into Vermont, New Hampshire, southern portions of Maine, and into here northeastern portions here of Pennsylvania, northern New Jersey areas as well. The snowfall, like I said, on the backside of the system could have a couple inches of snow across especially northwestern and northern portions here of Minnesota, getting back in the eastern Dakotas and getting up toward here the far northern Wisconsin, the UP of Michigan. Maybe a couple more inches of snow here can be possible all the way here through the rest of this week here. So maybe here getting the shovels out across those areas in some spots. Now, once the storm system pushes through, this big trough will continue to push to the east, and we'll see a ridge here be reestablished across the western United States as we head into this weekend, and that will be the next here driving force behind another potent storm system that is likely to develop during the early to middle portion of next week. You can see a lot of deeper here blues across the central and eastern part of the United States with this deep trough here pushing in for the weekend. So a cooler weekend ahead for much of the eastern half of the country here early on in the weekend before we see a warm up with that ridge start to develop here with warmer temperature anomalies here being reestablished across the central and southern plains back into the Four Corners region with that here trough moving off, another trough moving into the Pacific Northwest here, and then a big ridge here continues to surge to the north and east here as we head into early next week on Monday with temperatures well into the 60s and perhaps 70s as far north as Iowa, Illinois, maybe even Wisconsin here as well, as a next very potent trough continues to push in. Now, I'll show you that here on the vorticity here signature here on the GFS's vorticity signature for next week. This is around midday or so on Monday here. Just kind of some general zonal flow aloft, but then here a very potent here trough will be here digging into the desert southwest around California, maybe getting some rainfall around there here. We'll just have to see how that works. And then here maybe some upper elevation snow across the Rockies potentially with this storm system, but a very deep trough, and this is around late morning, early afternoon on Wednesday next week, and this will be digging into the southwest. Now, there is a little uncertainty on here kind of when this trough will eject into the middle of the country here next week, if it'll be midweek or late week. But we'll have to watch ahead of this here as instability will be growing, temperatures will be rising, dew points will be rising, leading to some higher instability values. A lot of wind shear will be here with this trough, so this could set the stage for yet another significant severe weather outbreak across the early to middle part of the week next week across the southern central plains, potentially getting up into the mid-Mississippi Valley, the Ohio Valley as well with time as we head into late week next week, so that will be something to watch. And like I said, this is the day 6 outlook here from the Storm Prediction Center, already highlighting a slight risk zone or 15% area here of severe weather from southern and southeastern Kansas through much of central and eastern Oklahoma into north central Texas. This does include the Oklahoma City metro area, Tulsa, getting up towards potentially the Wichita area, getting down toward the Dallas-Fort Worth metroplex, Wichita Falls, those areas here under the gun there. And then as we head to day 7, this is our Wednesday next week. You can see a slight risk or 15% zone here from the same areas, maybe just slightly farther east from here Joplin, Missouri, getting down just towards Conway, Fort Smith, Arkansas, potentially towards the Little Rock area, getting back again into the Dallas-Fort Worth area, Texarkana, Tulsa, and back on the eastern side here of the Oklahoma City area as we head into next week. Now, the 6 to 10 day temperature outlook here from the Climate Prediction Center, this is from Monday, April 11th through Friday, April 15th. And you can see with that deep trough pushing into the western 2/3 of the country, a big ridge will develop here and move to the east, and see much warmer than normal temperatures across much of the eastern 2/3 of the country, or much cooler than normal here under that trough across the western 2/3 of the country. And that will foster and aid in another potent storm system across the middle of the country as we head into next week. And that is why the Climate Prediction Center is forecasting well above average precipitation across most of the upper Mississippi Valley, down through the mid-Mississippi Valley, the Dixie Alley region here, much of the Ohio Valley, Tennessee Valley, once again, the deep south, and then kind of arcing its way back here in the Intermountain West as well. Now, looking even further, this is Wednesday, April 13th through Tuesday, April 19th, and that trough will continue to push off to the east, weaken slightly as it does so, but still likely below normal temperatures across much of the country, probably about 80% of the country as we head in towards the middle and towards the end part of April, with that ridge continuing to push off to the east, maybe some slightly above normal temperatures across portions there of Florida, getting up the eastern seaboard, and here another ridge trying to develop across the California region behind that as well. And like I said, that storm system will continue to push east, likely above normal precipitation across the Ohio Valley, the northeast, getting down into the southeast, with here another under that trough, and that ridge is redeveloping behind that here as we head into the desert southwest and the Four Corners region, likely below normal here precipitation for those areas as well as we head toward the middle and end of April. Well, thank you for watching, guys. Hope everybody's having a great Wednesday out there. Do be sure to like my video here and to leave any comments and questions down below. And do remember to subscribe to my channel, as I'll have more related content here for severe weather next week, and looking longer range as well here through April with my next forecast. So thank you very much, and have a great day, everybody.